All right. Well, we don't want to keep anyone waiting, so let's go ahead and get going here. Folks generally sort of trickle in as we're going on our workshop. So I want to go ahead and get started for you today. So, welcome to the Aligned Habits Workshop. This is a great workshop, particularly as we head towards the new year. So, it's going to be really important to follow some of these things we're going to work on today because we're going to work on setting goals, but also implementing habits that help you implement those goals and make those achieving those goals inevitable. So, um, what we want to do is break this cycle of discouragement of setting resolutions or goals that don't work out and create safety and openness to new possibilities. So first and foremost, I want to point out that I want you to feel free to share. Always, you can type in the chat or raise your hand to join in. Um, and you can just go ahead and talk too. We want to make this interactive, make it so that you can share, but always you can type any of the responses. So we're going to have some different time for you to reflect. I'm going to give a journal prompt or an exercise, and you can take a few minutes. Like I said, have a pen and piece of paper ready, and you can write it down. So we're going to want to do that. Also, I guess let's go ahead and do that. I want to ask you a question. Um, and that is, and again, you can feel free to share this as well, but what is one habit that you wish you could stick to that would change your life? What's one habit you wish you could stick to that would change your life? And take just a second to put that down. People usually give different types of responses, but they all sort of fit into similar groups. So if you want to include that in the chat, if you want to type in there what's a habit, or also, you can raise your hand or just come off video, come on to video as well. I'll give you just a second. You can put those, and then we're going to move on to a grounding exercise to get started. Getting rid of bad habits. Yeah, absolutely, Chad. Working on that as well. And being more disciplined, certainly, Alexandra, and keeping a regular sleep schedule so I can have more energy. Well, sleep is one that I write about extensively in my book, and we're going to cover it some today. The habit of sleep. It's really important to get, for average adult to get about 7 hours of sleep. The first thing on my habit tracker, I'm going to share the habit tracker with you. You'll get all the resources from today with the recording, but I track all my habits on this daily habitually inspired habit tracker that you will receive from us. It's a great resources. But my point in that is, Cheryl, that I have on there, my first two habits are sleep by 10 and wake by 5 a.m. So, my habits for each day actually start the night before, because if I'm not getting to sleep by 10, it's really tough to get up by 5 and then implement the other habits that I have that follow that day. And certainly, Alexandra will work on getting more discipline. And, even Chad will talk about getting rid of those bad habits. So, we talk about replacing bad habits with good habits. So appreciate those. For me, one habit is getting to exercise and yoga. It's been on my habit tracker for years, and I haven't been as disciplined about it. And this year, I've really been focused on being more disciplined about having regular exercise, or at least getting to yoga. I was certified as a yin yoga instructor last year and just started teaching my first classes a few weeks ago. So I'm trying to be a lot more disciplined about that. So we're going to talk about how to get more disciplined as well. And of course, yeah, Diane, I mean, exercise is a good one. I appreciate that. Hopefully it's one we can all work on taking care of, our personal, physical, and spiritual health in the coming year. So it's a great time to be here today working on our aligned habits. So let's start first with a grounding exercise. And by doing this, I'm just going to ask you to take a moment to uh, either close your eyes or drop your gaze down low if closing your eyes isn't comfortable, and and just breathe naturally, just breathing in and out through your nose. If you can, just breathe in and out through your nose, just feeling the breath coming in and going out. An inhale followed by an exhale. You just want to be fully present. Sit in a comfortable position, sit in your chair, maybe put your hands on your lap, and just start to breathe and focus only on the breath. Try not to focus on any particular thoughts. As thoughts come into your mind, let them go. Just let them pass like a cloud passing through the sky. Just let those thoughts go and focus solely on the breath. You might focus on the air coming in and going out through the tip of your nose, just like on the inside of your nose, feeling the air coming in and going out. You also may focus on trying to feel the air on that little space between the bottom of your nose and the top of your lip. You might even just focus on feeling your belly, your diaphragm raising and lowering. Just focusing on the breath. And we're just going to take 30 seconds or so to just feel our breath, the air coming in and going out. Being fully present here for yourself today, not on texts or emails or social media. Just here for yourself, here to make 2026 your best year yet, here to find some peace and align your habits before the holidays. Here for you, and your breath is always there for you. Now, once we found some calm and peace in our regular breath, we're going to take 3 deep but intentional breaths. So when I cue you, we're going to take a deep breath in through the nose, hold it to the top, and then sigh it out audibly so that you feel that in the back of your throat, letting it out. They call that the lion's breath. So deep breath in through your nose, taking little sips of air as much as you can into your belly, hold it to the top, and then sigh it out. All right, we're going to do 2 more of those. Deep breath in through your nose. Then hold it to the top and sigh it out. And 1 more. Taking as much air as you can into your belly. Deep breath in through your nose. Taking little sips of air, as much air as you can keep taking into your belly. Feel your chest filled. Hold it to the top. And now let it all go. Sigh it out. And then just return back to your normal breath, the air coming in and out through your nose. Feeling the calm and peace. You've let all the things holding you back just go. And start to bring some presence back here. Maybe wiggle your fingers or wiggle your toes, flutter your eyelids, and be fully present. Just let all the discouragement, all the busyness, all the distractions just fall away. You're here today to find clarity and confidence and excitement for the coming year, excitement in your daily life, not to worry about your to-do list or what's happening tomorrow or what you haven't done yet for Christmas. But just be here, be present. Now, as you are present here, we're going to go ahead and get going. And, I just want to mention before I give you an overview of what we're going to cover today, that if you've ever struggled to stay consistent, and I think, some folks mentioned consistency earlier, it's not that you're falling short in life. You've just been trying to force a version of success that may not have been aligned with who you truly are. And today, we're going to reset that and rebuild from your true self. So let's go through what we're going to cover today. I'm going to give you the flow for today, the overview, and we're going to cover 4 main things. And we're going to have little exercises at the end of each of these areas, but we're going to cover why most goals fail, how to set the right goals, how to build supportive habits, meaning habits that support your goals. And, so you can be that person who would achieve those goals. And then how to how to check back, how to overcome setbacks, how to reset yourself and build resiliency when life may throw you off your routine. So, if you're ready to go, I want to start with a quote that I love by Napoleon Hill. It says, "Desire is the starting point of all achievement, not a hope, not a wish, but a keen, pulsating desire which transcends everything." So, if you have a desire to make this your best year yet, then we're going to take and we're going to mold that desire into action. And if you want to move past all that's held you back from living in complete happiness and bliss, then we're going to turn that desire in action. We're going to mold that burning desire for love, happiness, and success into real action that you can take today to live the life of your dreams. We're going to do this by aligning your dreams with your habits. So, how do I know this works? Because I've done it over the last 7 years. I'm living the life of my dreams. I get to spend tons of times with my kids. I went skiing this morning. I, run 2 businesses and I have a ton going on. I ended up having to fly to North Carolina for a family emergency to help my goddaughters who were having a tough time. But I'm able to do these things because I took control of my life and my schedule about 7 years ago. And I put a ton of work into learning things that we can do to live our life aligned, to live according to our goals and implement those goals by practicing daily habits. And like I said, with 5 kids ranging from 4 to 17 and running 2 businesses, I have to be focused and disciplined to ensure that we can all live happy and productive lives. Because if I'm not disciplined, then it all starts to unravel and it's a mess, with that many people. So I'm going to save you years worth of learning and mistakes that I've made to become who you're meant to be, to live the life of your dreams. So if you want to do that and start living life of your dreams in 2026, then let's go ahead and get going. Does that sound good? All right. And don't worry, this isn't going to be hard. You just need a system that's going to work for you. So at the beginning of this year, we're going to go ahead and get into what I talked about at the beginning, the first section, which is why goals fail. And at the beginning of this year, meaning of 2025, we held an inspiring 8-week challenge course called Thrive in 25 to kick the year off right by implementing our big goals. And we actually are doing a similar course starting January 8th of this year. We love to start the year working on aligning our habits and our goals. So at the start of the course, I shared a statistic that I saw on LinkedIn on January 1st. It says less than 9% of adults achieve one New Year's goal. And that's of the ones who actually set goals. So meaning 91% of adults who set goals reach 0 of them. Like, how sad is that? How many people are going to set New Year's resolutions in, less than 2 weeks, and over 91% of them aren't going to reach them, because that's even the ones who actually set them. So some of the common reasons that goals don't stick, and we put a bunch of research into this here, is unclear vision, meaning you set a goal, but you're not exactly clear on what that goal is. External pressure or distractions. And I mean, that's one of the biggest ones that a lot of us fall prey to. We actually have a new workshop we just started called Just Focused and Free, Breaking the Distraction Cycle, because we realize that distractions are things that keep us from our goals. So I want you to really think about the distractions. Another reason goals fail is because of an unrealistic pace. So I've been prey to this before, and I may share a little bit of this more later, but we started a new business a few years ago called OhmGrid to take people off the grid with clean energy. And we had planned for it to be a massive success. We started hiring people and setting, goals for new clients. And the problem was the goals we set, we were trying to reach, were just unrealistic to achieve in the time period we were trying to achieve them. So the goals failed, the company failed, and, it was a huge personal hit and, really a very difficult time because I failed. But, the unrealistic pace. So the next reason that goals fail is because a lack of identity alignment. And perhaps most importantly, we're going to cover this a lot today, meaning your goals are not aligned with your true self. So part of the reason this is called the Aligned Habits Workshop is we're really going to focus in on aligning your goals with your true self, who you're meant to be. People ask what their purpose is in life. We're going to work on that today. So Robert Brault said, we're kept from our goal, not by obstacles, but by a clear path to a lesser goal. We're always taking detours and getting off the highway to our dreams, not because it's too hard or too far, but because we're distracted by what's right in front of us. These folks right here were distracted by a sign that said, great view this way, but they were actually trying to get to the summit. They were trying to get to the top of the mountain, like these folks who weren't distracted by the sign that said great view. They kept going on their path, on their climb to get to the summit. Does scrolling through social media or watching the negative news get you to your goals faster? No, but a bunch of folks spend their days scrolling and watching negative news and watching TV and doing things that don't help them get to their goals. Instead, it fills your brain with negative inputs of others. It wastes your time and takes your mind off of what matters most: your goals, your family, your physical and professional and spiritual life. Our addictions to the phone, alcohol, drugs, and the negative news keep us distracted. They keep us distracted from our goals. And those distractions take us from what matters most, from our dreams and our loved ones. Blaise Pascal, who's a famous French inventor and mathematician, said, distraction is the only thing that consoles us from our miseries, and yet it is itself the greatest of our miseries. Distraction's the greatest of our miseries, which that's why we started this focused and free workshop, Break the Distraction Cycle, because we really were realizing that distraction is one of the biggest things that keep us from our goals. So I'm not sure when we have the next one because we're doing a lot of Aligned Habits Workshop, but probably in early January, we will have a focused and free workshop. So definitely keep an eye out for that. And, even if you're not distracted, or if you feel you're not distracted by all the modern distractions in life, many of us are kept from our real goals by that clear path to lesser goals. Misaligned goals create confusion, anxiety, and burnout. And so many of us feel that today. Misaligned goals, just constantly pushing and pushing and not really feeling as though we're living as our true selves. And those misaligned goals keep us chasing and never getting there. And that creates burnout. That's why so many seemingly successful people today are not happy. They may be achieving professional and work success, but they're just accomplishing small daily tasks. Inside, they're unhappy because they're not aligning their daily habits with their big goals. So they have these big goals, but they're not doing those things every day that get them there. So that's creates just confusion, and it leads to burnout. So you go one way when your true self knows that you need to go another way, and it creates anxiety and confusion. But we're going to help find some clarity today, because clarity brings confidence, and confidence is contagious. Clarity brings confidence, and confidence is contagious. So we're going to help you find some clarity today. Now, another reason that goals fail, even if they are clear, is that the clear goal is not aligned with your true self. So we all have a still small voice inside that speaks to us about wanting an amazing life and nudges us to our personal and professional dreams and clamors for love and happiness. So if you want to give a megaphone to that still small voice inside, and that still small voice inside that you're giving a megaphone to so it's not so still and so small, that's your true self. That's your higher power directing you where to go. So when you listen to your inner voice, you are aligned and living on purpose. When you're clear on your goals and they are aligned with your true self, you can live the life of your dreams. And this alignment brings excitement and confidence to every day as you move towards your goals. So that's some of the reasons why goals fail. So while we're on this topic, and I don't want to bring you down by talking about goals failing, but after this, we're gonna build on how to create goals that don't fail, that goals that help you live as your true self. So before we do that, I have a question for you. I just want you to take, a few minutes, maybe 2 minutes, and think of a goal you set in the past but didn't reach. And which of these do you think got in the way? And meaning, which of these do you think got in the way? Meaning, an unclear vision, a unrealistic pace, misaligned, meaning not aligned with your true self, or uh, an external pressure or distraction. So, yeah, Alexander, distractions. So think about what that goal was. I'm going to copy those and I'm going to put those in the chat there just so you have them. Lack of alignment, Cheryl. Yeah, I feel that. It's real tough when you're chasing goals and they're not aligned with who you're meant to be. Sarah, all four. Yeah, I mean, it's tough. And it's true because, yeah, a lot of times we can't just pick one because you look at that, the vision may not have been clear. You got distracted by other things and you're trying to, hit goals, say, hey, it's New Year. I'm going to do this now. And you don't get there instead of giving yourself time and space to achieve what you really need to achieve by setting big goals. And, they may not have been aligned with your true self. Chad, you're saying mostly distractions and a lack of alignment. So yeah, we really want to focus on aligning those goals with our true self. Oh, and Sarah, absolutely, we will be sending you the slides. And forgive me for not mentioning that earlier in the workshop. But yes, we will be providing a whole bunch of resources. So we're going to send you the slides. We're going to send you a recording of today's workshop. And we're also going to send you a few resources. So we're going to send you the habitually inspired habit tracker that I mentioned earlier, as well as our True Goals worksheet that we're going to work on some of the questions and prompts on our goals. And then we're also going to probably provide to you, I think, the Epic Daily Ritual, which is a high performer's guide to a great daily ritual, a great morning and evening routine. And Diane, you said distractions and maybe lack of alignment with true self. Still confused on true self and alignment. So we're going to get into true self. So I'm going to give you, some exercises that help you get in touch with your true self so that you're then able to set goals that will align with your true self. So if anything is not clear at all during today's course, let me know. But I think it's going to be clear for you in just a little bit. And Cheryl, of course, it's our goal to give everyone the resources and to save you the time that I spend in trying to learn all that I have about setting goals and sticking to habits and aligning them with who you're meant to be. So we love sharing this, and you're very welcome for the resources and things that we're going to get over to you. All right, so let's move on. I really appreciate everyone sharing. Like I said, it's really great to see what we're all dealing with and addressing, so that we can end up starting our year off right. So this next part, as you see there, is aligning with your goals with your true self. Aligning your goals with your true self. So this is the way. This is the path forward, and we're going to talk about setting big, expansive goals, ones that excite you. Aligning your goals with your true self sets you up for success. So, we could just go in this class and just start talking about setting goals. But the thing is, though, you have to have good habits to get to your goals, but you got to know where they're getting you. The Aligned Habits Workshop. Right now, I could just say, hey, here's some good goals, but notice it's aligned habits, not just habits. So you want to align your habits with your goals, and you align your goals with your true self. So first, are your habits aligned with your goals, your dreams, and your true self. If you want clarity in life, you need to know where you're headed. You got to have a path forward and you have to have a system and a path that works for you. So you also have to set goals, but I want to make a point here about setting goals. You need to make them big, really big, exciting goals. Because when you set small goals, you aren't excited to get there. And I know, everyone, you may have heard of SMART goals or specific, measurable, actionable, realistic, and time bound. Now, the realistic part, I don't necessarily agree with because if you set a small, realistic goal, yeah, you may be able to get there, but you may not be getting to your true self. So the question is, where do you want to be in 10 years or 20 years? We are going to get to, where we want to be in a year, a month, a quarter. But now I want you to think about where you want to be in 10 years and 20 years. And don't worry about where you are right now or how old you are. It doesn't really matter if you're 30 or 50 or 70 or 90. My dad's 82, works 6 days a week at Children's Hospital. He's a pediatric radiologist. And, he's trying to think about what he's going to do next. And I said, you know, you may have 20 plus years left to keep going. So, you know, don't think that, time matters because time is relative. There's no end to what you can achieve at any age and at any point in your life, but you have to think bigger. So, what is your big inspired goal? What seems outrageous to others, but in your heart is what you need to do? That is your North Star. That is your summit. That is the direction that you need to head. So, I want to start by asking you a question. Are you the same person that you were 10 years ago? Think about it. For most people, the answer is no. But yet, we set goals and plans as though we will be ourselves today, but just a little bit older. But it's not the case. You'll be a totally different person in 10 years. I'm 51. I look at where I was at 41, where I was 10 years ago. So much has changed in my life. So much has changed in my life. I now my family's now bigger. I have more kids than I did 10 years ago. In fact, I have three more kids. I had two kids then. Now I have three kids, or five kids total, three more kids in 10 years. I do things that I didn't even know I would do. Teach workshops and write books, and I'm an inspirational speaker. 10 years ago, I was just doing clean energy projects for my company, Blue Sky Power, which I still do, but I had no idea that I would do these things. Like I said, I became a yoga instructor. I've started practicing all different types of spirituality and, counsel people and lead people in spirituality. I had no idea that I would do those things 10 years ago. So when you set goals, try not to think about where you are today. Instead, create a big vision for your life. There's this concept called prospection. It's the ability to mentally represent or evaluate possible futures. It's a fundamental psychological skill that includes planning and imagining future scenarios. And so when we envision future scenarios, a lot of times we limit ourselves to what we know now. And so we set small goals that are aligned and that we get scared and say, okay, this is only the amount of stuff I can do. But yet there are no limits. Our goal in this workshop is to open your mind to think without limits. And, I guess when I started really working on this for years, I had big goals and I was seemingly successful. I mean, I was a attorney, a big firm attorney, and then I became an entrepreneur. But for years, I saw sad eyes looking at me in the mirror, wondering why I hadn't hit my potential. And I knew I wasn't living as my true self. Not that I wasn't seemingly successful, but I felt like I was failing in many ways because I didn't live as my true self. In the summer of 2018, I had a complete awakening. And I decide I'm sick and tired of being sick and tired. I decide to work on improving myself and to start listening and growing again. I've done intense study on personal growth and aligning our goals with our habits. I mean, tons of reading and books and courses and things to understand how to be who we're meant to be, how to align our goals with our habits. And this 7 year journey has brought me to an extraordinary place and brought me to a place of deep personal alignment with my true self and led me to personal, professional, and spiritual growth that I wasn't realizing before that journey. And that's what I want to share with you today. And once I saw the light in the mirror, it dawned on me. I meant to inspire others. I meant to share this with others. That's what my true self is meant to do. That's what that still small voice inside had been telling me for decades as, a lawyer and a clean energy entrepreneur, because I wasn't living as my true self. I wasn't making enough impact every day. Writing books and inspiring you is my true calling. What is your true calling? In the immortal words of Nelson Mandela, who lived fully through struggle and triumph, there is no passion in playing small, in settling for a life that is less than the one you're capable of living. I want you to live the life of your dreams. I want you to live an extraordinary life, which you can do today by living as your true self. You can't live the extraordinary life of your dreams by playing small, by just going through the motions. Don't go through the motions at work. Make your motions work. We're here to set big goals and then create a clear path to achieve those goals, followed by the habits that will make your future come to life. That's how you're going to thrive in 2026. Be bold and be specific. Be bold and be specific. The famed business strategist and author of book Good to Great, it's one of the leading business books, Jim Collins, said, if you have more than 3 priorities, you have none. So when you think about your goals, I want you to set no more than 3 big goals. Everyone is so scattered today trying to do everything well that we give everything only our partial attention. If you want to thrive in 2026 and achieve big goals, you have to limit the focus, and say no to a lot more. You got to say no. Stop letting other people drive your life. Stop letting other inputs drive who you're meant to be. The true self system that we've created helps you refine your goals and then start daily habits that will make realizing your goals inevitable. Now, we're going to share the slides, so don't feel like you need to scribble quickly. The pen and the piece of paper is for you and your reflection when we do the exercises. We will provide you all these resources in the slides and the recording. So first, what I do is I envision a future of myself 10 years in the future who is happier, kinder, and wiser than I am now. I meditate on that person and imagine spending time with my future self. I journal about this as well, but I then write a letter from my future self to my current self, which is usually filled with grace, encouragement, and pride, meaning being my future self is proud of what I've struggled through, what I've gone through, how I've, continued to show up for my kids and for my clients and for my course participants, even though it's hard and it's overwhelming. But I find that my future self is filled with grace and proud of me for what I'm doing. So even if I fail or feel like I'm failing, I realize my future self is so proud of what I'm doing. Next, after that, I write a letter from my future self. So I want you to really do that letter. It's so important. Then I imagine myself again, but in only 3 years, on my way to that big future, on my way to that big 10-year goal that I saw, that big future vision that I saw. I choose 3 years out because it's far enough out for substantial change to occur, but it's not so far that you can't clearly imagine life in 3 years. It's just, this year, the next year, and the following year. Then I fill out my True Goals worksheet according to that vision. And the True Goals worksheet breaks your goals down from big ideas to tiny steps you can accomplish every single day. So if you see in this, we go, long-term vision, 3-year goals, 1-year goals, quarterly goals, and monthly goals. And so we break it down into tiny steps. I then post my goals sheet at my desk and on the mirror in my bathroom so that I see it every day. We're going to share our goals worksheet with you when you get the recap. So you're going to get this. You want to make your goals big and simple. You want to take away all the nonsense that wastes your day. Focus in on your goals. Get rid of the distractions and focus in on your goals. And I want you to get ready to climb higher than you ever have in 2026 because it is your time to thrive. A lot of folks have had a tough time in 2025. And I want to make sure that we are ready to thrive in 2026, that we're not waiting till January to set big goals. So I want to lead you now through a visualization. Just like we did when we did the grounding exercise. I'll describe this for you, and then I'm going to give you, maybe 3 to 5 minutes, probably a little less than 5, just to make sure I keep us on track today. But I want you to close your eyes and imagine if on the other side of this Zoom is yourself from 10 years in the future, fully alive, successful, peaceful. They have great wisdom to share with you. Remember, clarity brings confidence, and confidence is contagious. See that future self. And what do you notice about them? What are they wearing? Go meet them in your power place or your happy place, whether that's, a place you've been on vacation or, at the beach or, on a mountain or even just in your backyard, your power place or your happy place. Close your eyes and envision meeting your future self there. What wisdom do they have to share with you? What have they accomplished? What are they wearing? Yourself, do you wear the clothes you did 10 years ago? Maybe some, but maybe not others. How do you see yourself 10 years ago? What is that person like? They don't sit there staring at the phone all day, neck bent down. They're calm, confident, poised, successful, focused in on their goals. Envision that person 10 years from now. Go meet that person. You now are going to meet your future self. Ask them questions. Ask them to share their wisdom with you. Ask them what's happened over the last 10 years. What have they accomplished? Take time and go meet your future self. And we'll see you back in a few minutes. Okay. Start to bring a little bit of presence back. Take maybe another 30 seconds or so. Say bye to your future self and that you'll see them soon. Thank them for the time spent with you and for guiding you forward. I hope you took the time to do this, and I did want to encourage you. We only took, about 4 minutes to do that today, but I really want to encourage you to do that exercise. This is just a glimpse of what's possible. I want you to do that, if you can, for 15 to 30 minutes. Have a long, beautiful interaction with your future self. And you can gain more wisdom and get very clear, because that is your true self. That's who you want to be. That's your purpose. That's who you're meant to be. So next, I want you to journal. Take just, maybe 2 or 3 minutes to journal. And again, take more time to do this later. But what did your future self show you? Remember what I said, how does that person carry themselves? How do they appear? What have they accomplished? What wisdom did they share with you? What did your future self show you? And once you know that, just quickly jot down, what are up to 3 big goals? Call them 3-year goals. What are 3 big goals that align with your future self? What are 3 goals that get you to become on the way to becoming that future self in 10 years? What are up to 3 big goals that align with your future self? I'll give you 2 or 3 minutes to do that. And again, you're going to want to do these later, but let's take some time and do that right now. Okay. I'll see you back in about 2 to 3 minutes. All right, just take maybe 30 more seconds, wrap up any journaling you're doing now. Remember, you can always come back to this. In fact, I very much encourage you um, to come back to it. And by all means as well, feel free to share. If anyone wants to share, some things they learned about their true self or some of their big goals that they want to set that align with their true selves. Again, feel free to put them in in the chat or, raise your hand and share, on video. All right, let's go ahead and we'll start moving on. If anyone does want to share, by all means, let me know, if you do want to share, you can put some stuff in the chat, or like I said, go ahead and unmute yourself and come on video if you want, or stay muted. Um, More presence and less worrying about what's to come. Yeah, I mean, being present, it is all about being present. I mean, there's a great quote by the Dalai Lama. I don't think we cover that in this workshop. I think it's in another workshop, but it says Dalai Lama said, there are only 2 days no work can be done. One is called yesterday, and the other is called tomorrow. Now, right now, is the time to love, live, thrive. It's just the point is presence. Presence is now. Being fully present. There's a great book by Eckhart Tolle called The Power of Now. If you haven't read it, you should read it. The Power of Now. Everything is happening right now. But yet, our ego and our endless thoughts keep us stuck in the past and worrying about the future. But yet, when you're fully present, you can achieve anything because you're not being dragged down by things that may haunt you from the past, and you're not worrying about what's going to happen in the future. You want to be fully present right now. So thank you so much for sharing that, Chad. That is a great one. A huge goal of mine is living in England. No idea how to make it happen, but it's been in my heart for years. Diane, 2026 is the year to start making that happen. I don't know if it's going to happen in 2026, but in the next 3 years, you should make it your goal. If that is what your true self is telling you, then you have to go do that. If you shared that in this chat with people you don't even know, then I can tell you, you are meant to do that, Diane. That is something you feel from the inside of your heart. I don't know if your future self, if you pictured yourself, there or not. I think I've only been once. Actually, the crazy thing is my sister actually has dual citizenship because she was born in England before I was born, when my dad was doing his residency in the Air Force during Vietnam time. So my sister is actually a British citizen. So anyway, you should live there. You got to figure that out. That is what your true self has got to do. I love that, Diane. And I hope that you really go for that. So now you can start setting goals that align with your true self, goals that help get you there. Setting goals for looking for jobs there, or, if you do remote work, figuring out how you can set that up there, or even retiring there. I'm not sure where you are and what you're looking to do, but you can set goals and then implement habits that help you get there. And you can create a 3-year goal and then annual, quarterly, and monthly goals that help you start getting there. Cheryl, you've been building a fairly new private practice as a mental health therapist. You're envisioning your future self said to you, don't go back to a regular job. You'll snuff yourself out. Well, first of all, Cheryl, best of luck. You are going to do great. It's not easy. I remember I said I used to be a lawyer, and I quit after only 4 years at a firm, not wanting that same burnout or to live the life of all the miserable, old partners at my firm. And so I started this business, Blue Sky Power, having no idea, how to do it, having no money. And, 17 years later, it's still a challenge. But you know what? I went skiing this morning. I took my kids to school. I flew down to North Carolina earlier in the week to help my goddaughters with a challenging circumstance because their mother, is dealing with some struggles. Yeah, and so my schedule is my own. And I said my father's a physician. He's in private practice, and I remember him saying when I was a kid, you got to work for yourself. Um, so don't give up on that. People need you to help them. I know that you could do that, through a health system or through a larger practice with other people. But if you truly have been called to be in private practice, your clients need you and need you to help them. So don't give up on it. I know it's not easy being, and I'm happy to support you. I think, I know we have it. We'll make it available to you later in the course, but I'll put it right now. Um, I love supporting entrepreneurs in any way I can. I just put my email in here. Email me if you want. I'm happy to help you talk through some of the struggles, maybe even little things, administrative things like, you know, insurance or, accountants or QuickBooks or, those things that are annoying about running a business that, suck the energy out of you. Don't let you just do what you love. Happy to help at any point. Yeah, insurance, particularly in your industry, insurance is miserable. Um, running a wellness clinic with healthcare integrated, don't work for someone else. I love that, Sarah. Absolutely love that. Um, Wellness is just so important nowadays. And, wellness is just absolutely essential. Um, and I think a lot of people, you know, are dealing with the rising healthcare costs, but that's after they become sick. Focusing on wellness and preventative medicine is so incredibly critical, and I'm glad people are starting to realize that. So, um, again, happy to help in any way I can to support you in that or provide any resources. Even stuff like client management software. Chad and I've worked on different client management softwares over the years. We now have one we really love that is where you get these emails from us on a regular basis. And Alexandra, you have sales. I guess is that something your future self or your true self wants to be doing, or you need help or support with, um, or that's one of the goals that you want to implement? So I really do encourage you guys. Um, Yeah, I mean, to reach out. I mean, happy to offer support anytime I can. I love helping and mentoring entrepreneurs, having gone through that struggle myself for 17 years, and um, it's a lot in the modern world to keep up with. Um, so if you love your job, Alexandra, and you do get stressed out, um, and you're not meeting your sales goals. I mean, look, I've had sales jobs before. I mean, everyone in sales knows that meeting sales goals is, always a challenge. Um, we can help you with preventing getting distracted. Now, some of the tips here will help. Being more structured and disciplined can help. Um, and we are going to help you focus. So we are going to have additional tools. When you start getting to the aligned habits, you should be able to, be a lot more focused. Um, but also join us for the focused and free workshop. We can probably also maybe email you, Chad. I don't know if there's a way that we can email Alexandra the last recording, or at least, get her some of the information for focused and free. So I think that may help. But yeah, distractions, distractions, distractions. We're going to help you overcome those. But what I see here, though, is that everyone has a vision of their future self. And that version of you that you just met, that's confident, calm, and clear, it's not that far away. All
But
right. Uh, but they live on the other side of clarity and aligned habits. And the truth is, you don't think your way into becoming your future self. You have to experience your way into it. And that's exactly why your habits are so important. They're how you make sure you're living as your true self each day. So we're going to start getting to more habits. But becoming your true self and living your life on purpose can take years or even decades. And sadly, most people never even get there. Aligned habits shape your identity over time, which is why we created a couple things. And you're going to hear about these. I'm really excited. We created the True Self Project. It's a 30-day habit challenge. And we're going to make that available to you. We are about to launch it probably sometime next week. We're just finalizing some of the videos. We've shot them all, but it's a great 30-day course with 5 to 15-minute videos, journals and journal prompts and exercises. And excuse me, through that 1 month exercise, each day for 30 days, you will be immersed in actions that help you make a habit of living as your true self so that you can live as your true self in just 1 month instead of taking a life. And a lot of people never even get there. So we're going to talk more about it at the end of the workshop today, in 20, 30 minutes, but just know that it's real and it's coming very soon. And we're also going to be launching, like I said, the Thrive in 26 course, which we're so excited about because we did it last year and we weren't sure whether we were going to do it again. Meaning in 2025. And we just decided it's really a beginning of the year way to kick off the year right. So hope you'll be able to join that as well. And now we want to talk about building habits that reinforce your true self. And yeah, Alexandra, these are recorded and we're going to provide the recording to you. Yep. So yeah, and no problems, Alexandra. If you ever register for any of our workshops and you don't attend, you will get the recording. So you don't necessarily have to be here live, although, the live feedback is great. So now we're going to talk, this is where the rubber hits the road. We're going to turn our vision from your true self into repeatable, grounded action that you can start taking. So your habits, which are your daily practice of becoming your true self. You start practicing to become your true self. You start doing those actions that your true self or your future self would do, and you just do them daily. That way you start becoming that person now. When I began the regular practice, talking about, my tracking my habits after I have sleep, which I mentioned earlier, sleep by 10, wake by 5. My next one is meditating. And when I began the regular practice of meditating and journaling 7 years ago, it felt difficult and awkward at first, but I stuck with it and it became natural, heartfelt, and habitual. And now it's a part of my daily routine, part of my daily life. And look, I do know that habits, both good and bad, are hard to break. And heaven knows I've had my bad habits, like, smoking cigarettes earlier in life, using weed regularly, staying up too late. But it's a lot easier to break bad habits when you have good habits and positive reinforcement to replace them. In the words of Aristotle, and this is my favorite quote, it hangs behind my desk. We are what we repeatedly do. Excellence, then, is not an act, but a habit. We are what we repeatedly do. Positive habits are the key to making your dreams and your goals real. To get into a routine of positive habits, it's worthwhile to track your habits. You keep hearing me talk about the habitually inspired habit tracker. And this little piece of paper I keep holding up, it's absolutely essential towards hitting my goals. Now, I have the habits tracked, but I also have the goals at the bottom. And we're going to share that with you so that you have a copy of that. And so to get into this, routine of positive habits, it's great to track them. There's a saying, you can't improve what you don't measure. I think Peter Drucker, who's a famed management theorist, said it. So you want to measure and track, that's what you want to improve. Again, you can't improve what you don't measure. You got to start measuring if you want to improve. If you want to, improve in sales or in your private practice as a therapist or in running a wellness center or figuring out how to get, live in England or staying consistent. You do that by measuring what you want to improve. You just do that daily. So you start measuring. So you don't want to wait for the future to happen. You want to start being the person you're meant to be now by putting the habits in place that person would do. It doesn't have to be profound or difficult. You just make it simple. The habitually inspired habit tracker that we created is simply a way of tracking up to 10 daily habits. So here are the habits I'm currently tracking each day. And this changes a little bit from time to time. So what I'm tracking right now is sleep by 10, wake by 5, meditate, journal. It says 1 hour flow on top priority, but this is for August. I've actually changed this to 90 minutes of flow on top priority. Read a spiritual book, read the Tao Te Ching, 30 to 60 minutes of quality content, exercise or yoga, and evening journal. Now, are these directly like my goals? No, but they help me to live as the person who would achieve those goals. I'm living as my future self by doing those things that my future self would do to be that happy, successful, calm, confident person, that person who inspires others, that person who lives habitually inspired, who's a spiritual leader and a best-selling author. And I track those and I do those. When I was writing my book, one of my habits was, write from 5:30 to 7. And I did that and it helped me write my book in just 6 months. So, you just write the habits you want to track on it. And we're going to give you a copy of this worksheet, the blank habitually inspired worksheet, so that you can complete it. And you write the habits you want to work on, practice regularly, or improve that help you hit your personal, professional, and spiritual goals. Maybe it's financial, maybe it's exercise, those things that improve your mind, your body, and your spirit. Maybe you want to track progress on a work goal or a fitness goal. I lost over 30 pounds from tracking my intermittent fasting every day. Now it, took over a year and a half, but I did it habitually. For now, let's just focus on what you want to improve and start tracking it. Try to make those habits that will help you achieve your three big goals. That you set, after you did the visualization for yourself, we set three big goals you could achieve in 3 years that align with your future self. And then when you get the True Goals worksheet, you want to set annual, quarterly, and monthly goals that get you to that future goal. And the habit tracker is a great way to start tracking your habits, your daily habits, to be who you're meant to be, either on paper or digitally. Now, if you're tracking on a computer or phone, don't look at your phone for the first hour of the day. You're going to hear me say that again, but I've been tracking daily habits now for over 5 years. And again, that quote, we are what we repeatedly do. Excellence then is not an act, but a habit. It changes slightly from quarter to quarter, like I mentioned. I started, writing my book. And, once I was done with it, I, went back to, reading some things that would help me write my next book and put those in my habits. Now, do I get to every single habit every single day? Sadly, no. Life gets in the way. And, I might miss one or two of those habits, but on the days when I'm at my best, I hit them all. And those days become more frequent the longer I track my habits. I make time for them. I make sure I do these like my life depended on it. And you know what? My future life does depend on it. I can't reach my goals if I'm not doing these habits. So as I go along, I have more days at my best and I hit them all more often. Again, that which is being measured is actually improving. So you want to track what works best for you. You want to look at your goals you're setting, see what you need to do to hit those goals or to live the life of the person who would hit those goals, and make those areas your daily habits. Again, what does the person you dream of being do each day? You envision that person, you journaled about the vision of yourself in 10 years. What does your future self do each day that you aren't doing now? Pick those things and be that person by practicing each day. And you'll quickly become that person you're meant to be. That is your true self. No one else envisioned that but you. That's who you're meant to be. My life is improving each day because I'm tracking that which matters most to me. And I'm holding myself accountable by tracking it. I am living as my true self. Now, you may not be living as yourself you envision 10 years from now, but you're on the way. You want to start living like, dressing like, and being like that person that you envision. It is you, but it's different. It's the person you're meant to be. It is your true self. You will start to become that person. So the question is, who do you want to become? And next, are you fired up to become that person? Jim Rohn said, motivation is what gets you started. Habit is what keeps you going. Motivation is what gets you started. Habit is what keeps you going. So you can come with some, big grand vision, or you could start your practice, meaning your private practice. But, you know, it's the habits that keep you going. We're here to live aligned, to set big goals that energize us for the future. But this time, we're going to accomplish those goals in 2026 because we're going to put habits in place that make achieving those goals inevitable. So now I want you to take just a couple minutes here, maybe like 2 minutes, and I want you to write down 5 to 10 habits that will help you achieve the big goal you wrote earlier. So those three big goals you wrote earlier that you can achieve in 3 years, I want you to write 5 to 10 habits that help you be that person that would achieve those goals. So go ahead and take 2 minutes to do that. And remember, these are all exercises that I want you to do afterwards and really work on through the end of the year so that you go in clear and confident into 2026. So 2 minutes, go ahead and journal that. 5, 10 habits that align with your future self that'll help you achieve the big goals you wrote down earlier. All right. Again, you can work more on these. I know, we only give a certain amount of time here, but we got to keep cranking here. Um, because next, I want to talk to you about overcoming setbacks and building resilience. So if you look at what we've done so far, we've gone from, you know, envisioning our future self, our true self, living our life on purpose. People always ask, one of the most Googled questions is, what's my purpose? We discovered how to find our true purpose. And then after that, we started working on goals that will help us live as our true self. And then, we set specific goals that'll help us get there, and then working on the habits that'll help us get to those goals. Now, the problem is so many of us, when we looked at the beginning of why goals fail, a lot of us get knocked off. We want to talk about overcoming setbacks and building resilience. So when you set aligned goals and build the habits to match, you're not just chasing results, you're becoming someone new. But stuff gets in the way. Things come up. I was really clear on my goals this year on, getting on publishing my book and, doing a new, habitually inspired series with different, spiritual and business leaders, and also getting these workshops going and a retreat. And, I was cranking on all this stuff. And then Memorial Day weekend, my wife ruptured her Achilles. And I mentioned to you, we have 5 kids, and, our life came to a screeching halt. And no joke, actually, I'll tell this real quick. My wife, she was dancing at a kids party, and it was playing the Kesha and Pitbull song Timber. It's going down. It'll be a night you won't remember. Well, we actually remember the night. My wife was basically bedridden for almost 2 months. She had to have surgery. And all of a sudden, all my goals and my habits and everything ground to a halt because I was taking care of 5 kids, doing all pickups, all bedtimes, packing all lunch, and caring for my wife and, pushing her around in a wheelchair. She had surgery on her Achilles. She didn't start healing and walking till later in the summer. And, stuff gets in the way, but you can't fall off and just stop. I could have just stopped on my goals. But the thing is, when you have your habits and your goals clear, when you're able to get back and dust off, you know exactly where to go. When you take a risk and you listen to your inner voice and you pursue a path, it's not about whether you get to the end goal and how fast you get there. There will always be twists and turns. It's not about the destination, but about who you become in the process of getting to your true self. When you set big, audacious goals, even if you fall short, you end up much further ahead than you were before. Look, tracking your habits is not a test. You're not in a competition with others. You can't beat yourself up if you don't track for a couple days or a week or a month. You're keeping track so you can improve. And some weeks won't be as strong as others. Yet, if you want to live in bliss, then keep tracking and improving and continuing to grow. It's not always perfect, but the more you work at it and trust your true self as your guide, the more you stick to your healthy habits and come back to your true self, no matter how busy you are and what negativity impacts your life. You're never too busy or distracted to take 2 seconds to look yourself in the mirror, lock eyes with yourself, and say, I love you. You got to keep going, even when you don't feel it. In fact, when you don't feel it is the perfect time to reset. Look, when your computer isn't working right, you reboot. When you get that, dreaded spinning wheel of death that everything is freezing, you reboot. When things aren't going well in life and you're off your game, reboot yourself. You do this by going back to your goals and your habits, and you begin again. That is your reboot. It brings you back to your true self, to your purpose. It brings you back to accelerating toward your big goals. Your habits keep you going and help you get back to who you're meant to be. When a challenge, a tragedy, or even just a bad day knocks you off track, get back to tracking your habits and find your alignment with yourself again, with your big goals and your true self. Now, we're about to close in a minute, and I'll be able to answer a couple questions, but I want to ask you one more question. What's one small action you will take in the next 24 hours to move towards your true self? You already took some big actions today by envisioning your true self, setting some goals, working on your habits. I want you to make some commitment to everyone here and yourself. What's one small action you'll take in the next 24 hours to move towards your true self, so that you make 2026 your best year ever? It's time to move past all the general malaise out there in the world and be the person we're meant to be. And you can put those in the chat, or, like always, come off mute. And I'm going to keep going, but share some of those. What is that action that you're going to commit to? Maybe it's, filling out your habit tracker. Maybe it's doing the visualization again and setting your 3-year, annual, quarterly, and monthly goals for 2026. Because in 2026, it's time to climb higher than you ever have before. It's time to climb into the shuttle on the launch pad to skyrocket into space. Staring at the stars is inspiring, but it's not going to make you an astronaut. It's time to launch. But the voyage only begins, though, with the decision to climb aboard and soar to your destination. It's painful not being who you know you're meant to be. It's painful wishing you could be that person you see in your mind, and it seems like it's either impossible or it's taking forever to get there. We all go through this, but it doesn't have to be painful. These are choices. This is your life to choose. You can either continue to go through the motions at work, or you can make your motions work. You can stay in the harbor and stare at the sea, or you can cross the ocean. You can stay in that painful job or create the career you want. You can stare at the phone or you can play with your kids. You can busy yourself on social media or make real progress on your goal. You can sing the song you're meant to sing or you can keep it bottled inside. They're all choices, and I know some of those things I mentioned are tough choices, but they're yours and yours alone to make. I love this quote by Elizabeth Appel about becoming who you're meant to be. She said, and the day came when the risk to remain tight in a bud was more painful than the risk it took to blossom. Your life is created by you, and we all create our own reality by our mindset and the choices we make. You can choose to live a life of happiness and bliss by deciding to do so. But staying tight in your bud is more painful than the risk it will take for you to blossom. At any stage in life, this holds true. It's never too late to be who you're meant to be. Be honest with yourself. Are you living the life you're meant to live? Are you achieving the one thing that inspires you the most? If not, it's time to blossom. It's time to live life inspired. You're capable of living an extraordinary life. Make it big. Don't play small. Don't settle. You know what you're capable of. You just need to get it out of your head, down on paper, and then take action every morning to get you closer to who you're capable of being. But it can't be small. You won't take any action if you have a small goal because it doesn't matter that much. As Les Brown put it, most people fail in life not because they aim too high and miss, but because they aim too low and hit. Don't aim for these low targets accomplished by menial tasks, lost in the phone. Aim high. You're meant to live an extraordinary life. If you invest in yourself and start what was recommended here today, you'll find true freedom and happiness. So you can make excuses or you can awake with intention. Look yourself in the mirror and say, I love you. And then implement the steps prescribed today so that you can return to your true self and be the person you are meant to be. Now, as we discussed in the last section, the journey isn't always smooth and roadblocks always pop up unexpectedly. But the tools provided here today help make the journey smoother and get you around those roadblocks faster. Those that love you are going to be there for you no matter what. I love you and will be there for you as you climb on your journey. I'm always here to help you guide you up that mountain as you climb to meet your true self, as you thrive in 2026. As your feet hit the floor tomorrow morning, simply say to yourself, and this is something I do every day and have for years. When your feet hit the floor, say it's going to be an amazing day. Walk into that bathroom, step in front of the mirror, lock eyes with yourself, and say, I love you. And then go spread that light out into the world. The world needs your light to shine brightly now more than ever. As you awaken with intention, with your goals set and your habits aligned, put down the phone. Turn off the negative news and just listen to your still small voice inside. Listen to yourself and your higher power, and then write down what you hear and don't wait. Turn what you wrote down into action you can take today to live the life of your dreams, to be the person you were meant to be, to live your life of love, happiness, and bliss. So I want to thank you for being here today because what you learned today is a solid foundation for living as your true self. But truly living focused and free takes practice and consistency. So I think I said, like, within the next few days, at least by the end of the month, we'll be releasing the True Self Project, a 30-day habit challenge, which is a 30-day on-demand course where you can turn the lessons you learned today into a daily practice and start living confidently, undistracted as your true self in a month rather than the years that it took me. So I'm going to save you a bunch of time. Also going to save you a little money because using the code, if you book with that QR code, and we'll send links to this as well, you can save $5, and for only $25, less than $1 a day for 1 month, you can implement all these things we've talked about today for 30 days of powerful transformation alignment. You can pre-order the course now because, like I said, we're just about to launch it in a week or so, and make it a Christmas present to yourself or give it as a gift to someone else. So if you do sign up today, you get also, we just decided to do this, a free one-on-one coaching session with me during the challenge to help you stay on track. So I'm excited to get that time, individual time with you to help you with some of the things we covered today. And we'll also be going into that into a lot more depth. So we're going to offer the one-on-one coaching session. That's if you sign up today, and the discount code is there as well. So that's what we have for you today. I think, do we have any homework, Chad? Why don't we put some homework up there? There you go. Sorry, you can't leave a course or workshop without some homework. And I already mentioned these, but take at least 15 minutes to imagine yourself in 10 years, to spend some time with your future self. Remember the visualization exercise we did after the first section. How do you look? How do you carry yourself? What have you accomplished? What does your future self share with you? What wisdom and guidance do they share with you? So take a few minutes to do that. And then write that letter from your future self to yourself, that person you met in your mind to your current self. Sit down and write that letter. Take that time. What does the person 10 years from now tell you today? Write that letter. I keep mine. I've done it before. I keep that letter on my desk. I go back and read it regularly. And it really inspires me to become that person. Keep it and refer back to it regularly because that's your true self telling you where to go. So, you guys have gotten here. I appreciate your time today, and we're going to provide you all the resources. By all means, please follow us on Instagram, LinkedIn, and TikTok. We make, a lot of videos and other things available there. And we actually are putting a lot more stuff up on YouTube now too. The more videos and inspirational speaking and things I do. I even have a couple meditations and things up there as well. So there are plenty of ways to get resources from us, and keep an eye out for the True Self Project as well as our Thrive in 26 course. So any questions anyone have? I'm happy to answer a couple questions if you have them. And again, you will get all the resources that we had today, all the things we mentioned. We're going to make all those available. Anyone have any questions? And remember, I put my email in there. It's ben@benparvey.com. Love answering questions from our workshop participants. So email me there if you have any questions or things you want to go into further. And Cheryl, I know we were talking earlier and you posted it a little while ago. I did want to get back to tell you, if you need any resources on writing your book, having just gone through this process over the last, year and a half or so, whether that's editors, publishing, all of it, it's a process I knew nothing about. I've learned a lot about it in a crash course over the last year. Let me know, and I'm happy to provide you some of those resources, even just on getting going. I have a great resource from a friend of mine who's a writing coach on getting that out. And just reading what you're saying now as well. Yeah, thank you so much, Cheryl. I appreciate that. Yeah, and hope you can join us for some other workshops in the future. Really appreciate it. All right. If no one has any questions, we're going to go ahead and cap it here. Again, you can always email me at ben@benparvey.com. Happy to answer your questions. Hope to see you on a future workshop, or hopefully you'll do the True Self Project. Sign up and I'll do a one-on-one coaching session for free with you. Keep an eye out for Thrive in 26. And I wish you and your families the happiest holidays and a 2026 filled with love, peace, and prosperity. Be well. Thank you all for being here today.